So we talking about the Senator Mack, whatever her name is.
Bro, I'm over it. I'm over all of it. I'm
So
over it.
so wait, she's a sitting senator? I thought she was running for office.
She's a sitting senator.
So she's just.
I think. The way to describe, she's a sitting senator.
I thought she was running for office as a state senator in Rhode Island.
No, you're a sitting senator. I don't look. Here's the thing.
No, it's nothing wrong with her twerking. It's the fact that
She
she's
used it as a campaign.
Like, it's not an official campaign ad, but she's on TikTok twerking and then saying, vote for me. And
it's a campaign. No matter which, once you mention I'm in the running and vote for me after twerking, it's a campaign ad. Now, here's the thing. Here's my thing. Look, it's not so much as you twerking. I mean, the thing is, you're either running to be a senator or you're a sitting senator. It's not a good look. And that's the problem we have in the black community, particularly with black women. You know, you can't be ratchet and be a professional, and many of them try to blur these lines. I'm like, you can't do that.
And then she made excuses saying, it's only because I'm a black queer, this for reproductive rights, that's why you guys are against me. It's like, no, because you're fucking twerking.
You're making us look bad. You're making black people look bad. Because you're reinforcing the stereotype that look at these buffoons out here twerking and doing all this other shit.
I remember you used to disagree with me back in the day. I used to say I don't like how certain stuff projects a negative ethnic image. You was like, oh, that doesn't reflect on me. That's dumb. But it does reflect on all of us.
No, and like I said, when you're young, you're young. I'm older now, about to be 30. I have to think about that because I want kids. And the way I'm about to say something. The way people, it does reflect on me because when they see you do it, they're going to think the same thing about me.
Right.
And it's nothing. That's just how bias work in the human brain. It is what it is. But it's not even the fact that you're twerking. Like, I don't care. It's the fact that you're trying to. We try to blur these lines between being professional and ratchet, and you can't mix those two. And the crazy thing, they'll use entertainers as a justification, like, well, Meg Thee Stallion or Cardi B, like, they're entertainers.
And then what you do in what you do in your personal time is fine as long as it's not being recorded.
Exactly, and that's the second part I want to get into. I'm gonna keep harping on their entertainers because everybody tries to use entertainers as the standard of professionalism, and it's not. And two, look, I do things in my private time, but that you will never see me do. You'll never see it on social media. Right. You just won't, because it's not nobody's business. Two, I keep my professional and my personal life separate. And the problem is we keep trying to blend these two. Look,
entertainers blend them because by necessity
they need to do it as a means of staying relevant.
They're public figures, so everything they do personally is also.
And the same thing with politicians. The difference is you're held to a higher standard.
Politicians as well. You're also a public figure, so you are held to a higher standard. And what you do personally does impinge on what you do professionally. And
it's not even that. The whole gist of a politician is appearance. Like, part of that's like 95% of your job is your public appearance. Like, don't get me wrong, she's not an ugly woman, but
to me she was.
Well, we know why. I don't remember her face fully.
Because she's black.
I don't remember her.
But she was also bold too, so
I don't know. I just knew her body was okay from what I remember. But I'm like, at the same time, that's not TikTok, and twerking is not a good campaign message. It's just not, and it's not gonna entice black people to vote for you just because you're twerking. Like, it's just a bad look all the way around.
It reminds me, like, what was it, like 2-3 years ago when the Black Lives Matter were up at the Martin Luther King Memorial twerking in front of the Martin Luther King. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he was for. That even before their nonsense with stealing money for their mansions and shit, they lost me when they were twerking in front of the Martin Luther King Memorial. I was like, this is literally the Boondocks episode coming to life. Like, that whole episode where they had the club, they had the Martin Luther King night at the club. And I was like, so this is like so many aspects of what Aaron Magruder put out on the Boondocks has become real.
And it's sad because, you know, a lot of people, like, I'm using Kamala Harris as an example, when they were talking about how she basically fucked her way to her position. Maybe she did. I don't know. But the point is, actions like this reinforces those negative stereotypes. You're reinforcing the bad publicity you already have as black women. And most people, you just harping on black women like, bro, you don't see dudes going out twerking or trying to or swinging their dick around as a form of protest. We don't do that. You just
or for guys, you don't see them, like, you don't see black male politicians going out playing with guns and with their pants sagging
and crip walking, talking about some vote for me. Like
vote for me, yeah.
Like it just, you don't see that. You just don't. And I, honestly,
and when you know you're from an ethnic minority that already has so many social disadvantages, that behooves you to hold yourself to a higher standard anyway, because you know there's more
at stake.
There's more at stake. There's more scrutiny on you. That's why, as much as I dislike Obama, like he kept himself, not only himself but everyone around him, very professional during this administration, because he knew that he would be held at higher scrutiny for being black and having a non-European name. So, and you know, having a father that was an immigrant. So with all that being the case, he knew he had to hold himself to a higher standard. I mean, Kamala, I guess, as well, although she's not very articulate, but that's a different story. But yeah, they know that. And
Kamala's had to prosecute black people. That's how most prosecutors make their name. Let me just lock up a bunch of black people. Yeah, well, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I'm just saying, at least the both of them realize because of their because of their status and their skin color, that, you know, they have to be more professional than others around them. Whereas like Donald Trump, although he's a billionaire, can act like white trash in the White House. Yeah, I said it. And
it's not. It's bad, but it's not as bad.
But when you're a black politician and you're doing buffoonish stuff, it hurts the rest of us. Just like that Detroit mayor years ago, like that sort of stuff hurts all of us. Or DC people still, they love their crack mayor, Marion Barry. To him, he was the best thing since sliced cheese. But everywhere else outside of DC, most people think he's a buffoon.
Only I know what Marion Barry is that he's a cracker. That's how most women.
I literally remember in the 90s watching the videotape of him getting caught with the hooker. You know, they had some drugs, and he literally says on tape, "Bitch set me up." I will never forget that. But DC residents was like, well, he did so much for the city, and for the life of me, I kept asking him, give me one concrete example. He did a lot of things. Okay, can you name one? Exactly. But I guess he did things for them. He came around when DC was finally allowed to have like a working city council and mayor, because before then the Congress pretty much ran DC. And so they've always had kind of incompetent like leadership in DC. But anyway, getting back to the example, like when black politicians do dumb shit, it hurts other people. And for the life of me, I can't see a black woman who knows what she's against to be just twerking. And people trying to say, well, oh, she's appealing to the Gen Z population. The Gen Z people aren't voting.
Thank you. They don't even vote. You should be appealing to people, and like the millennials.
The largest.
That's who you should be appealing to.
Well, no, the largest voting bloc are elderly folks.
That's true too.
So you've already.
You lost all of that.
You pretty much lost most of them doing that dumb shit. I mean, you gotta know where the numbers are. But again, the most educated group seems to be math illiterate, which kind of belies the point that they're not the most educated group. But anyway.
I don't know, man. I'm just at the point now where she done twerk so hard it started raining. God damn it. I don't know. I mean, for me,
she might as well have Lil Jon come out there and say, I need you to twerk a little harder.
And that's the crazy thing. Like, don't get me wrong. You know, even if you take entertainers like Lil Jon, J.A.C, and others, they were able to reinvent themselves because they made their money, but they stopped doing the things that they were negatively associated with. Like Little John, if I remember correctly, I think he's like a citizen of Ghana now and is building schools.
On top of that, a lot of hip hop artists were actually pretty well educated, but they had to hide that because
it doesn't sell. Like 2 Chainz has like a master's or 2.
Well, I know what's the name does. What's the
Lil Wayne has I think he has a master's or a doctorate at this point.
Even the Yin Yang twins were like the epitome of like ratchet, but they were actually pretty well educated. They just acted that way to hide their disabilities. So
I don't know, man. It's just funny to me how the particularly the men, how we always talk bad about how black men are this and that, and low key the smart, some of the ones who chose to go into entertainment were low key smart, like were college graduates, but they just finesse the game to make their money and keep it moving. Meanwhile,
and even some of the ones who weren't well educated were still intelligent enough. Like J.A.C was a high school dropout, but you don't become a billionaire from scratch by being stupid. Like, how should I put this without being too mean? Melanin deficient people who already come from a higher middle income
don't have to be smart.
Don't have to be as smart to rise high. And then when they become billionaires, people want to act like they've made it that way on their own. No, they didn't.
Mommy and daddy are, and I'm not knocking.
Mommy and daddy were already rich. Yeah, Zuckerberg, he wasn't poor.
Elon Musk.
Gates, he wasn't poor. Elon's Afrikaner ass wasn't poor. And I can go on, but a lot of these black entertainers did actually pull themselves out of the mud. Like, he literally started off in the Marcy projects of Brooklyn. So that's pulling yourself out of the mud. High school dropout, pushing weight, but that's an accomplishment, and it's not like he's still doing it. So,
but the problem I have with that, I don't. Let me rephrase. I don't have a problem with his story where he is at now. My issue is how people interpret his story, particularly millennials. Is just because if he did it, I can do it, and it's like no. Well, the odds of that happening.
That's always been a problem in hip hop, is that people use like the extreme example of someone and think they can do the same thing. Like, just because this person dropped out of high school, was selling dope, and made it far, doesn't mean you're going to. Like, he's the exception that proves the rule, which is why it's such a great story. But for the most part, that's not something you want to emulate. And he himself would tell you that. He even says in his raps, I forgot the lyrics, but he said, I did this, so you don't have to do that or whatever.
I remember, yeah. But that's the point, though. That's my point. We get people who make it. We get black people who get to a certain position to actually do something good and make changes, and they fuck it up because they want to twerk. And I think that's what more so bothers me. Like let's use Rihanna for example. Rihanna made her money.
Rihanna can make me go back to black. I'm telling you. Yeah. Her, LMI, and her, but that's a different subject.
But no, like she had some good songs, and then she started her own. I think it was like makeup and then clothing line, and she made it cool. I'm not knocking. That was great, but you know what? You don't think when you think of Rihanna, you don't think of ratchet, and that's the thing. I would attribute that some of that Jay-Z probably told her how to do the smart thing, like, make your money, but start something.
Everyone around him is like...
It's successful.
Kanye, billionaire. Rihanna, billionaire.
Everybody, yes, because Jay-Z...
LeBron, billionaire.
Jay-Z is smart. Like, regardless, the motherfucker's smart. Everybody that's around this man and ended up...
Even Fat Joe on this rapper named Math Hoffa. He has his own YouTube channel. Fat Joe was on this thing. He said after he squashed the beef with Jay and started, working with him, he said he started making money. So
Jay-Z got the secret. I don't know Jay-Z got the juice though.
Right.
But
it must have been from Superhead. But that's
but that's not my point. Is like you made it to somewhere that people of all races can only dream of. And you'll ruin it. And it only takes 10 seconds of a video for you to ruin it. Like, no, like I don't understand.
I'm not so much as mad. Well, I'm mad at her, but I'm more mad at the people trying to defend her behavior. Like, no, that's not the move.
Yeah, I think that was the worst. That was dumb too. So, like, I heard people saying, "Well, what about Trump's wife?" Here's the thing:
she wasn't running for office, for one.
No, I was talking about that. One, she wasn't running for office or an elected official. Two, all those pictures they pulled up was
from the past.
Right, that was already done. When she was a first lady, she was quiet. She was, and I'll take the heat for this. She was what a first lady was supposed to be. She played the wife.
She was a Jackie Onassis.
She played the wife. She sat there and looked pretty.
Some people gonna get mad at me for comparing her to Jackie Onassis. I'm sorry.
I don't know who that is. So.
JFK's wife.
Oh, it is what it is. Either way, she played the role, unlike other presidents' wives who had to be in the spotlight.
I'm not saying anything.
I'll say yes, Michelle. Michelle needed to be in the spotlight.
I thought you were going for Hillary, actually.
No, and Hillary. Well, fuck Hillary. But Michelle, and don't get me wrong, Michelle did some good things. I think the whole the program for having healthier food in schools, I think that was a great idea, even though it's my American right to be fat. You absolutely right. It is your right to get diabetes and heart disease. I support your right to do it.
And most kids don't want healthy food. I'm sorry. I can say if I'm in middle school or high school, last thing I want is a bunch of fucking carrots and celery sticks or whatever. I want that my little pizza rectangle. I want my pizza rectangle with the carton of milk. I like the chicken days, the days when you get the fried chicken and everyone be fighting over the chicken breast and give me that chicken titty.
We don't get chicken breast. What?
Yeah, we had.
That was never what I.
Well, we had chicken breast.
We never get that.
And I ain't gonna talk about in Chicago when we had like tacos on one day, we had gyros on another day. But yeah, when I came to Maryland, it wasn't as good. But still, everyone had the square pizza, the Elios or whatever they were. And I would take other people's because theirs was like overheated or something. But anyway.
But the point is, she did good things. I'm not taking that away from her.
I won't slight her for that because ever since I think maybe FDR's wife, like every first lady has been given like a sort of a thing that they was supposed to be about. Like Nancy Reagan was all about everyone should read, so she had this
I was about to say something else.
So she had this when she killed someone. But anyway, no. No, I'm sorry, that's Bush.
I heard her blowjobs were amazing. The way they talked about
yeah. And maybe they were. I mean, Ronald was an actor before he started in politics.
Yeah.
So
they might have been, yeah. But the point, I'm not holding that against her, but
Mr. T got one.
But it but it does it sheds light on how like it just baffles me. Like, why are you defending that? You defending a politician twerking? Like, it's no different. It's no different than when Biden, out of all the black people Biden could have talked to, I'm gonna talk to Cardi B. Why?
Well, I'm not gonna slight him for that because again, she also talked to Bernie Sanders.
No.
And she was down for the cause. That actually made me respect her more.
No, there are two different things here. I'm not knocking her for talking to Bernie Sanders. That's not my point. That's not my point. My point is, I'm not knocking her for that. And I don't have nothing against Cardi B. It is what it is. And she was down for the cause for Bernie. That's why I say I do give her props for that because she was down for Bernie.
And she was calling him Uncle Bernie and all that.
I'm down for. I'm not knocking her. It's not about her politics. It's more so how we as black people we don't hold our political appointees accountable, and we use the least common denominator to be a representative for all of us. And that's the problem. No other group says, "Hey," you don't see Latinos saying, "You know what? You want to know who we're gonna have to represent us? 6ix9ine. 6ix9ine is going to speak for the Latino community." You don't hear nobody say that. You don't hear Latinos saying, "You know who's going to, you know what? We're gonna let dang, I'm trying to think of another Latino group, rap group.
It's not that many nowadays, but back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it was one back in the day. Cypress Hill. We're not gonna let Cypress Hill represent us and like speak for us at congressional hearings. You don't see white people saying, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna let." No, I was gonna say we're gonna let Kid Rock, but they would do that.
Well, actually, he does speak at political
rallies. No, he does. That's why I say I'll take that back.
Well, let me wrap this up, but I'll just say this: like, it'd have been better if she just said, "Hey, yeah, that was sort of a bad idea on my part. I apologize, guys." But if she done that,
she pulled the gay card.
But instead, yeah, she pulled, "I'm queer and I'm for reproductive rights. That's why you guys are against me." And like the late great Kevin Samuels said, personal accountability is like kryptonite to black women. So I'm just gonna leave it there, because you're twerking during an election season. That's a winner, and you don't even look that good enough for me to sway my vote if I did live in Rhode Island. But I'm signing out, guys.